Cardinals, and who gets cut? This is RamView.
It's hot out there. Let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, okay.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the December 5th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. Of course, the new friend of the show, Sports Ball Game. Make game day funner for you and your crew. Play sports ball, playing for a hill of beans or just jelly beans. Check out sportsballgame.com. All right, we are here. And the question came up. We're going to talk, hey, the Rams got somebody to cut, what they're going to do, decisions there. We had a great Monday night or a Thursday night game last night. And of course, how do we see Rams Cardinals this week? I'm always afraid of Jacoby Brissett. I'm always afraid of the backup quarterback playing against the Rams. So here we go. Let's dive into it. But this is one question that came up early, and I thought it was interesting. Peo time. He's here. But my question is, I'm going to put the question out there, and then I'll go to Peo. My question is, do you guys think of me as a snob or kind of as an elitist when it comes to maybe football or Ram talk? Because I had a conversation with somebody, and you might not like the answer. All right, Peo is on out in Toronto. Question: if the Rams asked for your advice on improving the SoFi experience, what would you suggest? Love the show. Well, I have only been to SoFi for the Harbaugh presser when he got hired there, Peo. As far as being a Ram fan, going to SoFi, or obviously not credentialed to go to SoFi, I did go helping out at Mid-Valley Sports. The guys I used to work with, they needed someone to do some log rolling for them, and I went there for the Harbaugh thing for the Chargers. SoFi is amazing. I mean, it's otherworldly. I as someone who grew up going to the Coliseum before the remodel. Now the Coliseum is a pretty cool place to see a game, but wow, I can't even describe what SoFi looks like. Now, SoFi experience, the parking's super expensive. They really should take care of their people that are coming to those games because they're charging them an arm and a leg just to get through the door. Rosie Greer, of all people, has said this. Rosie Greer signs autographs for free, or at least he did up to 2 years ago. This guy was 91 in the baking heat at a Ram Fest event, and this guy is signing autographs. And I spoke to his wife, and his wife said, yeah, him and some of the other former Rams felt like the ownership is just squeezing so much money out of the fan base that they wanted to give something back to the fans. So, yeah, I think they should scale back to $80 or whatever it is to park. But I can't say enough about the stadium itself. It's just, yeah, it's a jaw dropper. And I've been in your Sky Dome, or what is it called there in Toronto now? Stevens Center? What is it? But I've been in the Sky Dome. I worked the press box there for a baseball game. That place was pretty nice at the time, but SoFi is pretty amazing. All right, let's just do a couple of questions here. ESG on the board. The real Cowboys reared its ugly head last night. Yeah, it wasn't a good night, huh, for them in one sense. So close yet so far away. Their playoff hopes were low to begin with. They need a Philly collapse, and they just needed to pick off these wins. And that kind of makes me laugh a little bit before we get to the Rams. I don't think Deion Sanders in his prime had a faster backpedal than Colin Cowherd did this morning on the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. How many times since Ben Johnson left, before the season started, when the season started, and even now that they're talking about, oh, they stayed in-house, they made a mistake, they hired the wrong guy, they did this, they did that to be the OC, Dan Campbell's not this, because the KBM salivates at the opportunity to tear down an alpha like Dan Campbell, And you saw that. I mean, that was pretty amazing last night. I kept watching Goff make those throws. One, I didn't know Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to play. I actually took the Cowboys to win that game. I'm always happy when I see the Cowboys lose, but I was kind of rooting for them a little bit because, Detroit is still a factor. Detroit's still coming to L.A., but they're coming to L.A. without Brian Branch, who tore his Achilles, which, man, someone needs to do some investigation here on what's going on with these athletes because all these torn Achilles, man, unbelievable. And George Pickens, we'll talk about Richard Sherman's calling out of George Pickens there. ESG, all right. Kyler Murray scares me more because he runs all over us, especially when there's nothing on the line. Well, Kyler Murray has been declared out for the season, according to the last news report I saw. And I'm just the opposite on that one, ESG, because my feeling is he'll make the big play, but he's not consistent enough to tear you apart in 1,000 pieces, a la Mac Jones, a la Colt McCoy a few years ago. And I've shared that story back in 2022. Cardinals came to LA, and Rams were struggling. And I was thinking, cool, the Rams might have a shot to win this game. And I remember my heart sinking when I heard Colt McCoy was starting, because Colt McCoy was going to pick you apart and take what you give him. And the Rams weren't being aggressive in those days at all. And so Brissett will do that. He's the perfect, backup quarterback who's going to take what you give him, although he's not going to have some weapons this week. I think Kyler Murray might be done for good in Arizona. Ron Reese, another guy from the end of the Santa Fe Trail. All right, Ron. Ron, if we met, did you go to El Monte? Because, of course, I'm an El Monte guy. Let me know. Sean McVay said he won't activate Tutu for this Sunday. What's going on? They're paying $10 million not to be active. Yeah, Stan should be on the phone saying, hey, guys, I trusted you. I trust you with the Stafford thing. I trust you with all the deals you make. But he should get on a conference call with McSneed there and say, bro, Tutu wouldn't gotten $10 million for 2 years anyplace else, let alone $10 million for 1 year. And you said you were going to use him. So this isn't Tutu's fault, right? This is not Tutu's fault. This is Sean McVay's fault, and they don't know. So we're going to talk about Tutu here in a second. ESG, even though the Clippers are an awful team, they treat their fans really good as far as expenses going to a game. I haven't been to a Clipper game in years. I've been outside the Intuit Center, or arena, whatever it is. That place is a jaw dropper as well. That place is a major jaw dropper. Peo saying hi to ESG. Hey, Peo, make sure you let ESG know when you're going live because, I'm just the opening act here. Peo, I don't think you're a snob. Really? Okay, I got one guy in my corner. There we go. So the thing about that is I do have a tendency to look down on people who purport to know. So when I listen to a lot of the KBM or I listen to a lot of even Rams media and I hear the things they say and I'm thinking, bro, either get out of the business or do your homework. When I had to do my homework way back, I know, get off my lawn guy, right? But I used to buy the NFL encyclopedia. Every year it was updated or every other year. The same thing with the baseball encyclopedia. It was before you had Wikipedia. And we would do our homework, right? And this is while I'm going to school, while I'm youth pastoring, while I'm doing all these other jobs. There's been a stretch many times where I've worked 3 jobs to get my wife through nursing school, yada, yada. But you do your homework. And when it's your full-time job, and I hear a guy cannot articulate what the Rams were doing in 2002 or 2001 or who their backup was that replaced Kurt Warner or any of those things, right? Who can't tell you certain things. I'm like, either step aside or just go away. You're a fraud. And I do hold people accountable. I can't help it, but it makes me sick because they're the same people that will talk down to you people like you don't know anything. And of course, they're the ones that do 21 minutes of a noonday talk show and talk about anything but sports, right? They're the ones that oh, that's my boy, that's my dog, that's the guy I care about, that's my unit. I don't care about MVPs, I don't care about unis, and when you spend that much time talking about those things, that tells me you're not serious. So that's where I was told I was a bit of a snob. Now I'll let you reevaluate there, Peo. There you go. ESG, if Rams would have won last week, I would have called this a trap game before playing the Lions. Yeah. Hey, that's a good call, because the Cardinals, exactly. That's in my notes there. The Cardinal game suddenly got serious now, right? It wasn't a humiliating loss in Carolina. It's a game you should have won, but it was just enough to give McVay something to yell about, right? And that's why I think the Rams are going to come out and play well. Well, I'm so happy there. There you go. Hey, Peo and ESG are connecting. Ron Reese, a Royal, 1987. Did you play for DJ McKinnon? Right? When I was working at the Mid, we used to call DJ McKinnon, pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name, right? That's what we used to say about DJ McKinnon, right? He was a tough dude. There you go, everybody. Just want to let you know, Peo will be live later tonight with an appropriate plug. Here we go. There we go. All right. Hey, Peo, could you let everyone know that I'm on Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Also, Peo, can you encourage them to buy my book, Game Day in the Ram Cave, since we're feeding off each other? Available on Amazon. There we go. I do appreciate it. All right, let's keep on running here. If the Rams weren't coming off a loss, I'd be skittish, as ESG alluded to, but they are, and the Cardinals should pay. A lot of talent is missing this week in the Valley of the Sun, and the only thing is Jacoby Brissett can scare me a little bit because he's going to be efficient and not riverboat gambler, right? If he had all those receivers, I'd be a little more fearful. Marvin Harrison, as of today, is ruled out. Greg Dortch is ruled out. They don't have rookie Walter Nolan, who scored a touchdown the other week. And then Max Melton at corner is also ruled out. Kyler Murray is out for the season. Budda Baker has not had a great year. Rams have opportunity here to go in and get the backup some playing time. Darius Williams is listed as doubtful, leg with the tibia injury. Poona Ford is questionable, but we know questionable usually means he'll play. Hopefully, Rams go up 28-0, and then we call off the dogs and all the backups get in. So I'm going to go big again in this one. I went big last week, and I think a lot of things happened that hadn't happened all season that if it had been a normal game for the Rams, that would have come true. But I'm going to go big. Rams 42-14. Cardinals have one of the worst pass rushing attacks in the league. They also have been equally bad protecting the quarterback. If the Rams win 17-10, I'm not going to worry about it. It's a divisional opponent that's going to be up, and this team plays hard for Jonathan Gannon. However, if it comes down to a Harrison Mevis field goal and we're all holding our breath and it's a 12-10 victory, then there's going to be a problem and something serious is going to have to be reevaluated there in terms of what the Rams are doing going forward. Let's see here. Peo time. Let's go to Peo. Peo time. What does Peo time say? Let's see. Sports media coverage is subjective. I've learned be yourself, and some people will like you and some won't, and that's cool. Well, I agree. This was someone that I considered a friend, but yeah, it's true. I mean, they like me, but they said, you're a snob. You're an elitist. You look down on people. I do. Don't you think somebody should be able to say Rams' first Super Bowl was Super Bowl 14. They went back for Super Bowl 34, Super Bowl 36, 53, 56. Shouldn't you be able to rattle those things off? Shouldn't you just be able to pop those things? That bugs the snot out of me when you can't. Sorry. I know. There we go. Okay. Ron Reese played for DJ McKinnon. He was real tough. Hey, was Willie Reyna your quarterback? Was Willie Reyna? Because I covered you guys for the Tribune when Willie Reyna was there. And McKinnon was really hard on me as a sports writer. And then when I came back a few years later, he was really cool to me. He's kind of like you got to get to know him a little bit. But he was tough. But you might have played with Willie Reyna. Peo time. Yeah, Cardinals players are making business decisions. That's true. That's true. Rams need to get some sacks. They've slowed down in that department. I don't mind it if you're getting the picks. But yeah, you need to get home a little bit, right? And I noticed last week there were some missed opportunities for sacks. And it really felt like the first month of last season when Fisk and Verse were almost too exuberant, and they were getting they weren't having success finishing off plays where they should have gotten sacks. Besides seeing the starters pulled in this game when it gets out of hand, the other thing I've been jonesing for, and you heard it here first, well, maybe you heard it here first, is I think Stafford and Ferguson are this close from really developing a connection, right? I think they're this close. Ferguson's shown he's more than capable of catching the ball. Stafford has shown that he wants to get him the ball, but they're just misfiring a little bit. And I'm hoping, I want to see some targets for Terrence Ferguson this week, force the issue a little bit, because if they can get some real connection between him and Stafford, that just makes the Rams passing game as dangerous as anything on the planet, right? Besides being able to run the ball, 2 solid backs, then you're running Nakua, you're running Adams, and you're running Ferguson out there. That is extremely dangerous to other defenses. And now the issue that's come up is to activate Atwell, as that question was brought up earlier. To activate Atwell, someone's got to be put in the street. And that is something to think about. Let's look at Peo. I love Peo. Guy's calling all the way from Canada. I once had someone message me on Twitter telling me to delete my channel because I am not professional enough to cover the team. And some other choice words. Yeah, I know. There's always somebody doing that. Yeah. And again, that's just my motivation, right? Tell me no, and I'm just going to do it more out of spite. And so I know what that's like, right? We should have a roundtable just between you and me to commiserate on all the people that take shots at us. That would be fun. But again, it's called RamView, right? It's called, we're watching from the outside. That's the best part. I don't want to be on the inside. I like being on the outside. Michael Negretti, should the Rams trade their 9th and 29th for the Titans' first overall pick? I think the Titans could probably get more, right? The only quarterback I'm really crazy about is Fernando Mendoza. But, man, I think they could hold that first pick hostage for some huge mamu there. They got a lot there they can get. ESG, I'm hoping for a Ferguson coming out party. So am I. Peo time. Is it fair to be disappointed in the Rams pass rush last game when Young barely threw it? Yeah, I think so. Again, you go back into that game a little bit, is that he didn't throw it that much. I think they missed a couple of sacks. They left some sacks on the table. That was disappointing. And but then again, there were other moments where it just happened. I know everyone's down on Emmanuel Forbes, but the Rams were in coverage 0 on those things. So Shula was being aggressive. He was trusting his corner. And I can't think of a game where the Rams gave up 3 touchdowns on a 3rd and 8, on a 4th and 2, and a 4th and 3. I've never seen that before, especially not with this defense. So yeah, I think they were being aggressive, but yeah, they need to finish the deal a little bit. They do. All right, back to Atwell. Is Atwell done if he's not activated from injured reserve? Yeah, that one came up early today, and a lot of truth to that. There's stuff there. So here's the deal. If the Rams activate Atwell, someone's got to get cut. All right, so the guy I said to keep an eye on is Bo Limmer. Limmer hasn't played a snap on special teams, let alone the offensive line, since week 3 in Philly. Also, former Mr. Irrelevant, DeJuan Johnson, who did flex out to the edge in the preseason. If you remember, he was an inside guy, and they were running him on the edge. He made the roster, right? And he flexed out to the edge, but he's only played 11 snaps all year, and that was in Philly as well. And he's been a non-dressed and inactive all season, right? And his first year in 2023, he had 105 snaps. Last year, he had 155, which is not bad for Mr. Irrelevant, but he hasn't seen the field at all since week 3. He's a candidate. The other one would be the cornerback, Chris Smith II, who's played special teams. They just signed him. He's only played, hasn't played a snap on defense. Or could Nick Vanette be the guy? And that one's a little interesting because I don't know if McVay fully trusts Ferguson in that 13 personnel. Atwell, if he's brought back, would be the 6th receiver. You already have Nakua, Adams, Smith, Whittington, and Mumpfield, right? And then you'd bring back Atwell, and that's 6, and you really haven't been using Atwell. And here's the other aspect of that too, is Ferguson himself, and this is why Vanette seems kind of shaky in terms of the 13 personnel. Ferguson has played 69 snaps as on the line as a traditional tight end, but he's played 80 snaps in the slot and out wide. So they're using him for his hands and his length and his athleticism, not for his brawn or his blocking ability. So he functionally works as another receiver. So that would be a seventh guy. Atwell could be the seventh guy. And so there's the hesitation. There's the place you're in. Now, I think the Rams are down on Bo Limmer. And so I think he could be the guy. Let me look at this real quick here. Steeler fan Rob, Joe, you were drinking that cowboy Kool-Aid. Yeah, no, I wasn't really. I'm again, you're trying to read my head here, Mr. Steeler fan Rob. I'm happy the Cowboys lost. I thought they could win. Detroit was all banged up, but Amon-Ra St. Brown played, so it's all good. Whatever. You're drinking the Kool-Aid because all you ever talk about is T.J. Watt's sacks. You sure don't talk about playoff wins. Payo time, Xavier Smith, I was stoked when he got the 51-yard deep ball. Yeah, meet the new Tutu Atwell, right? I meet the new Tutu Atwell. Let's see. Get to the questions here before I show you this graphic. I know it's too soon to tell. This is Payo, but in the start of the NFC playoff picture, who would you want the Rams to play in the first round? Well, let's hope they get home field advantage so they don't have to play anybody in the wild card round. But yeah, right now it sets up to play Frisco. I don't want to play a division opponent in the first round. I just don't, right? I think in the wild card round right now as it sets up, you'd get a first round home game, but I don't want to play the 49ers, right? Could that be the Packers? Packers right now don't scare me. I know everyone says you're supposed to be scared of the Packers. I'm not scared of the Packers. Who could that be? The Lions? Could it be could the Bears have a tumble? But I don't want to play the Packers. I mean, the giant 49ers or the 49ers or the Seahawks in the first round. I just don't. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. The NFC is deep. NFC is really deep. It's time for Shane Dolac. I think he's saying Shane Dolac to get some sufficient playing time. I don't know. I think, I want him to get more playing time, but it is going to be interesting going forward now because he had some legitimate depth there with Spates because the Rams have locked up Landman for 3 years. Actual David Henry. All right. ADH. Joe, I believe you're more than capable to host RamView. Keep up the amazing work. All right. I'm going to leave you right there, Chief. Thank you very much. That helps me. That's encouraging. I do appreciate that. As long as everyone doesn't think I'm a snob. On Locked On Rams, Travis Rogers said goodbye to Tutu. They don't need him. Haha. Travis Rogers, God bless him, Arcadia High School product. He's been saying that for 3 years now, right? And again, make a receipt of this, okay? I don't know if you got to print it out or something, but watch the flip because I think the part that's killing McVay right now is Tutu's got experience. Tutu has caught passes from Matthew Stafford. They had a connection last year. Each of the previous 2 seasons, Atwell has caught 40 passes in the third receiver spot, okay? This season's been a whole different story. I'm not arguing that. But do you think in some ways McVay's having flashbacks to the point where when he was in Super Bowl 56 and all he had was Cooper Kupp, Bryson Hopkins playing wide receiver when he was a tight end, and Van Jefferson because everyone else was gone? I think he's hesitant to do that. Do you really, really feel confident with Smith, Mumfield, or Whittington becoming a 1 or a 2 receiver behind if Adams or Nakua gets hurt? Now, I know I'm not saying Atwell's a jump ahead, but Atwell's got more experience. And that's where it gets, what are you going to do here, right? What are you going to do? And I think that's the dilemma he's in. And so someone's going to get put in the street. I think the Rams are going to keep him. Payo time. Do you think the Rams can rattle Darnold again when they play on Thursday night? When have the Rams not rattled Darnold, right? They've always rattled Darnold. But, as Riff would say, those Seahawks are really down boys. They want a piece of this world too. And so, yeah, that's going to be a real tough game, right? The Rams could go 13-4 and lose the division. They can go 13-4 because the Seahawks offense isn't anything to, schedule isn't anything to fear. All right, something we didn't do here. I wanted to look at this in terms of the Rams getting cut. I took this off of ourlads.com, and it's just the depth chart. And you can see what the Rams depth chart looks like. People, who would they get rid of? Forget any of the starters in the first slot. Look at the second slot. Kanata, no. Jordan Whittington, no. DJ Humphries hasn't played a snap, but he's a really good insurance policy. Justin Diedick has proved he can fill in. Quisenberry hasn't played, but the Rams have kept him around. And I believe he could flash to guard if he had to. Davis Allen, Jimmy G, Blake Corum, no issues here. Terrence Ferguson not going anywhere. Stetson Bennett not going anywhere. Ronnie Rivers doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Maybe they could put Ronnie Rivers in the street and then add him to the practice squad. And then there's Nick Vanette over there. So who are the names on offense that you would look at? Bo Limmer. Bo Limmer is the name you look at on offense. Nick Vanette, maybe, and then maybe Ronnie Rivers, because no one else is going to sign him. You're not afraid of losing him. You're not going to put Jarquez Hunter in the street this soon unless they really view him as a massive miss. So Bo Limmer looks like a guy to me that would be keep an eye on him. This is the defense. Run this through, right? Laurel Murchison has been getting snaps. He's part of the rotation. Ty Hamilton, Tyler Davis. That's why you see DeJuan Johnson standing off to the side there by himself, because he's been inactive since week 3, and week 3 was the only game he played. Josiah Stewart not going anywhere. Sean Dolak not going anywhere. Troy Reeder, you don't want to see him on defense, but Troy Reeder has been amazing on the special teams. Nick Hampton's been getting snaps. He got snaps last week. If you remember when Byron Young, I don't know what Byron Young had. They said he had cramps, maybe he had a growler. I don't know. Witherspoon is back. Jalen McCullough, Darius Williams, who might not play or might not, and Darian Kendrick. They just brought Darian Kendrick back. I would say Chris Smith could be a casualty. He's only played special teams, or DeJuan Johnson. One of those guys look like they could be put in the street. But again, you put somebody in the street for what reason? Atwell would be the 6th receiver, maybe 7th receiver, depending on how the Rams have been using Ferguson lately. So again, something more just to think about. Let's see. Boom. Payo time. That Jets game in 2020, Darnold was not rattled. Was that Darnold that played that game? Yeah, he was. But let's remember that game. That was such a gross game. You know, I didn't like the play calling in that game. There was so much off in that game in 2020. That's when you knew Goff was done, right? I mean, McVay had no faith in Goff in that one. That was an ugly game. Don't bring that up, Peo. Don't bring that one up. Let's see here. Rams win this one easily. There we go. Now that's what you should be talking about, Mr. Ainsley. Why is Reeder and Murchison undroppable? Well, the Rams brought Murchison back. He played like 1 game, 2 snaps last year. And you're seeing him get on the field. You're seeing him on the field. You're not seeing DeJuan Johnson even dress. And the other one, Reeder, is playing really well on special teams. It might be his last hurrah, but Rams special teams are bad enough sometimes. He's actually made some plays on the special teams. Again, like I said, we don't want to see him lining up on defense in the front 7 anywhere, but I wouldn't mess with that. I just wouldn't. But isn't it apparent that someone like Bo Limmer, I'm not advocating for it. I'm pro Limmer, but it's almost like he should be in the doghouse. It seems like he really is in the doghouse right now. Anything could happen. It's the Rams, right? Rams are capable of doing anything. So my only thing when I leave this topic here is keep in mind that that if Atwell stays and Atwell makes some plays in the postseason, he's going to be everyone's dude. He's going to be everyone's guy. He's going to be everyone's this and that, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, looking at the Rams schedule. I didn't have that printed out yet. Rams Cardinals this week. Then they get the Lions at home. Then on a short week, they get the Seahawks. And then not only do they have the Thursday night game against the Seahawks, but they get an 11-day rest. They don't come back and play until the following Monday night. Usually it's a 10-day rest. They get an 11-day rest, and then they get the Falcons in Atlanta. Falcons collapsing all over themselves, still capable though, and then the Cardinals at home. And be kind of curious. The Rams need to finish this stretch really, really strong. And the schedule favors them. 2 games against the Cardinals, a game against the Falcons. Lions without Brian Branch coming to SoFi. That one's serious, although Jahmyr Gibbs is a little bit scary. I think it was like on the 8th day, God created Jahmyr Gibbs. And then the Seahawks game. That's going to be legit, right? The Seahawks game, if the Rams, everyone's going to declare the Rams season over if they lose this game. I want to remind you of 2021. Do you remember the Rams lost the last game of the season to the 49ers, right? And it was this huge, huge thing. It was the end of the world. And then they beat them in the title game, in the conference title game. So yes, the Seahawks game is critically important, but don't write off the Rams. Stafford's an all-weather quarterback. It's not optimal, but it's doable. And again, I'm holding out hope that they get the number 1 seed. They only have to play 2 games to go to the Super Bowl, and that means they don't have to deal with weather. Crowds, I'm not so worried about. Rams don't have any real fans anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. All right, so Payo time. Yeah, that game was the end for Goff for sure. That's so funny. It really was. All right, cool. Let's get this. Sorry for bringing it up. Yeah, man. Your arrogance, man. You're so cocky, right? Who said you could do a show? Right? Did you ask permission? Hey, we want to thank our sponsors. I don't do this thing with the white of an egg. It keeps me employed in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. And we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com. And also our sponsor, Kistler Law, is huge in making sure this happens. So you get a chance, click on that QR code, get the compensation you deserve if you have any issues like that to deal with. Also, sports ball games. This is a friend of the show, fledgling site. If you're looking for a way to bring your crew together on game day without the gambling stress or fantasy overload, try sports ball games. I know next year we're going to make this more of the show, but think about it for the rest of this year. Think about it for your Super Bowl party. Free pick'em and squares, live leaderboards, bragging rights built in, 1 click and you're in. No fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches. Just sports fun for you and your crew the whole day to enjoy. Whether you're in the break room or in the backyard, Sports Ball Games makes every game day a team event. Play for fun, brag for real. Join sportsball.com. Be sure to check that out. I will drop it in the feed here. Boom. There we go. And it is a pretty cool site to check out. Also, a reminder, I write books, and I know Payo's going to talk about it on his show tonight because he's my guy. He's my dude. But game day in the Ram Cave. NFC title game between the Rams and Packers at SoFi, fictional account. You know what it's like to try to get together and with Ram fans and then have riffraff come in who don't care. It's like the worst of all. I don't believe in a spiritual karma, but there is a sports karma. And if you watch a game with people you shouldn't be watching it with, you're going to jinx the Rams. I got people that know this. I will not invite them when the Rams are in the playoffs. I will watch a game alone rather than watch it with riffraff. Game Day in the Ram Cave is something you might want to read. It's in softcover and ebook format. Be sure to check it out. Hey, Pale, I'd like a read and a review. If you can do me a favor on that one, that would be pretty good. All right. Let's check out the rest of the stuff here going on this week around the NFL and other places. We've talked about hot seat coaches. Bolts designate Hassan Haskins to return from the IR, and they're going to face the Eagles without Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter will not be playing Monday night. Ravens extend tight end Mark Andrews for 3 years. Doesn't 3 years seem a bit long to extend Mark Andrews? I think he's got a lot of mileage on him, and I know he's comfort food probably for Lamar, but 3 years seems a bit long to me. Taxkins quarterback Jaden Daniels has been cleared to start. You're 3-9. You're not going anywhere. The guy's been banged up 3 times enough this year to miss games. Don't bring him out. Shut him down. But they won't because they're the Taxkins. Got to get the name Redskins back, and then they'll be brought back to good and proper thinking. Lions lose Brian Branch for the season, torn Achilles. And here was an interesting one. I wouldn't have given it much thought, but I'm watching the post game last night, and man, Richard Sherman went straight for the jugular when he called out George Pickens. I mean, this is the Pickens that was, I wasn't picking up on it too much during the game, but you go back and you look at it and you go, oh yeah, there's some stuff here. But if another receiver or a quarterback or somebody else had called it out, I might not have thought much. But Richard Simmons, Super Bowl champion, borderline Hall of Fame level corner, he would know, right? He could tell. He could recognize body language. He could recognize effort of the guys that lined up across from him. He could spot that right away. And as soon as they went to him, man, he ripped Pickens. He tore Pickens apart. And so that was interesting. That was a big loss for Dallas, right? Big loss. I think it was smart they didn't let CeeDee Lamb back in the game. I thought his arms looked like they were fencing a little bit when he fell. They just didn't get it done. I agree. I took the Cowboys. They were the hot team. Lions have been stumbling. I didn't think it was going to work, right? And good for the Lions. I love it because I like Dan Campbell. If there's a team in the NFC that could win this that wasn't the Rams, I would not be upset to see the Lions win the Super Bowl. I would root for them. I do not have this bitterness going back to the 2023 playoffs. I just don't have it. And stuff. So that was a huge win for them. And anytime you see the Cowboys lose, it's a good night. And they're pretty much done now. I don't think Philly's going to have the epic collapse that Dallas needs. But let's go forward and look at some of the games this week. You got Seahawks at Falcons. Yeah, okay, they're going to burn that place down. Steelers at Ravens. If this game was being played in Pittsburgh, I'd probably take the Steelers because the Ravens have been awful offensively. But since it's in Baltimore, I'm going to take the Ravens. Bengals at Bills. I didn't know T. Higgins was coming back, and I was leaning towards the Bengals. I'm going to take the Bengals because the Bengals are only 2 games off the pace, and neither the Ravens or the Steelers are playing well. If the Bengals could win in Buffalo, they're going to put the fear of the Lord into the rest of everybody else in the AFC. Titans 1-11, losing to the Browns. That's no biggie. Colts at Jaguars. The worm is turned. I'm going Jaguars in this one. Taxkins at Vikings. I don't know who's starting. Is it going to be J.J. McCarthy? He hasn't cleared concussion protocol yet. Is it going to be the kid they started last week? I'm hesitant on this one. I'm going to lean the Vikings at home because I'm down on Marcus Mariota. Dolphins at Jets. Jets have been playing better. Jets have been competitive. Some of the voices calling for Aaron Glenn to be fired have been stilled. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. They're hot right now. They're 5-7 after going 1-6, 1-7 to start the year. Saints 2-10 at Buccaneers. Buccaneers, I've designated McMillan and Evans to come back and play. So they not play this week, but the Buccaneers are getting healthy. Broncos 10-2 at Raiders. That is just, we know what that is. Rams 9-3 at Cardinals. We're going to take the Rams 42-14. Bears at Packers. It's at Lambeau, so I took the Packers, and now I'm feeling better about taking the Packers because no Roma Dunze. So Rams beat the Cardinals. Bears lose. Rams now are back in the number 1 seed in the NFC, right? We'll take it. Texans at Chiefs. Everyone's out on the Chiefs right now. They're at home. All the backpedaling, right? Chiefs are a dynasty. They're not a dynasty. All that backpedaling. I'm going Texans because Texans are on fire right now. Monday, Eagles at Chargers. There was that time about a month ago I gave the Chargers the benefit of the doubt, and I've decided I'm not doing that anymore, even though I think the Spanos negative mojo is stronger than the Harbaugh positive mojo. And I don't know if Justin Herbert's going to play, right? I don't know. But it would be kind of cool if Trey Lance went out there and just had the game of his life and brought back his career. I think that would be awesome. That would be a great story. As it is, I'm taking the Eagles on Monday night because they just don't die easy. All right, cool. I think we got most of our stuff in. Let me see here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, born on this day in 1951. Let's do it.
It was a stone group, my man.
Born on this day in 1951, Rams free safety Bill Simpson, second round pick, 50th overall, 1974 out of Michigan State. 5 years, Rams starter, replaced Steve Priest, and was a solid starter for the Rams. He played some Pro Bowls with the Rams in the 70s, and then had a solid second act for Chuck Knox in Buffalo in 1980 through 82. 72 games for the Rams, starting 62, 22 picks, had a big pick 6 against the Cardinals in the 75 playoffs. It's one of Steve Ramirez's favorite moments. In 3 seasons in Buffalo, he started 36 games and picked off 12 passes. The Rams got a 6th rounder for Simpson and then flipped it to a third to the Giants, with a third to the Giants later on, that brought Gary Jeter to the Rams in 83. Simpson looked like he was retired. He had injured himself in 79. He looked like he was done. And Chuck Knox gave him a call, and he came back, and he had 3 solid seasons there in Buffalo, like Isaiah Robertson did to finish his career. I love the idea that the Rams took the 6th rounder they got for Simpson, added a 3rd rounder, and then Gary Jeter became such a solid part of the Rams during the decade of the 80s. December 5th, 1992, Nelson Spruce was born. Nelson Spruce would be 33 today. Or is 33 today. Everyone remembers the first game back in Los Angeles. Spruce caught 6 passes and a touchdown from Sean Mannion to help bring the Rams back to a 28-24 victory over the Cowboys. Born on this day in 1958, George Farmer, a 9th-round pick, 1980. Because of injuries, he doesn't see the field till 82. Catches 17 passes that year. Catches 40 in 1983. And then his career kind of petered out from there. Let's see what else we got here. We got anything else? Nothing really big here, too much. Last time the Rams played on December 5th, they beat the Jaguars 37-7. I think that was one of those recovery games. Remember, the Rams had lost 3 games in November, and then they beat the Cardinals, they beat the Jaguars, and they kind of snapped back into playoff run. And remember, Rams were 0-3 in November. Everyone was writing them off. Yeah, I remember that. Also, tomorrow, since we're not on the air, Rams claimed Baker Mayfield off waivers in 2022. Thought that was pretty cool. And then, a sad note, on December 6th, 2018, Isaiah Robertson passed away in a car accident. He was 69. He was a 10th overall pick in 1971 out of Southern. The Rams got that pick out of the Ramskins deal with George Allen in 71. Robertson played 111 games, 102 with the Rams, 19.5 sacks, 25 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, 6 Pro Bowls. He was All-Pro twice, and he was traded to Buffalo in 79 for a 4th rounder that didn't amount to much. But again, I will contend if Isaiah Robertson played in Pittsburgh, he'd already be in the Hall of Fame. And if Jack Ham played in Los Angeles, Jack Ham would be treated like Isaiah Robertson. I think Robertson has been done a disservice because of the Rams' postseason failings. So, yeah, he finished up in Buffalo as well, 79 through 82, starting all 4 seasons there, along with Bill Simpson. So, wanted to get that out there. I think we're good. All right, cool. We did. We got it all in, Rams history. Always love saying –
it was a stone group, my man.
There we go. All right. Let's see. Manuel Vasquez, Rams 38, Arizona 17. All right. I think we're all seeing it the same way, right? We're seeing it. In a sense. The Rams, in the end, do you think it was kind of a good thing that you don't want to lose, but you turned it into some good, because I don't think they're going to take the Cardinals lightly. I think they're going to get everything right when they face the Cardinals. And then I think they're going to beat the Lions. I'm feeling confident in that game, although I'm a little scared of Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, Rams are in good shape. Of course, the apocalypse is that Thursday night up in Lumen Field, and it doesn't have to be the apocalypse. It can be very, very serious, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world or the fate of the world. But I think, Rams media is going to make it like it's the fate of the world. And if you just remember how everyone felt after losing to the 49ers at the end of 2021 regular season, how everyone was down, relax. Rams are going to be more than okay. All right, cool. 45 minutes. I'm willing to stick around for another 4.5 minutes here if you guys want to wrap. Anyone want anything to talk about? The subject today, again, that we opened with was who's going to get cut, right? Who's going to get cut? We laid out some candidates for you, everyone from DeJuan Johnson to Bo Limmer, Chris Smith, or would they just not? The Rams only have a certain window. They don't bring Atwell back. That means he's done for the season. And again, what are you saying to Uncle Stan when you tell him, like, hey, give me $10 million to keep Tutu, and you can't figure out a way, right? This, again, I will say, is not Tutu Atwell's fault. The other subject we covered, Cardinals are going to be without Marvin Harrison. They're going to be without Greg Dortch. They're going to be without Walter Nolan, the rookie. They're going to be without Max Melton, a competent corner. And Kyler Murray, we knew this is pretty much done for the rest of the season. Only one in doubt for the Rams is Darius Williams. So Rams are in really, really good shape going into the Valley of the Sun. And it's a place they've been successful in the past. We won't count last year. Last year was a disaster. All right, let's see here. I'm getting some notifications. I think we're cool. Are we cool here? Everyone's after me. What do you want me for? There you go. Yeah, we're good. All right, we're good. All right, cool. Hey, I think we're cool. There we go. All right. So let's see. Manuel Vasquez, Limmer has been in the doghouse since last year, so I think he's the obvious choice. They went out and got Coleman Shelton. Limmer did a good job, right? He looked left instead of right, 13 yards from the goal line. Looked left instead of right. Jalen Carter went through. Rookie sixth rounder, played like a rookie sixth rounder. My advocacy for Limmer was we don't know what his ceiling is, right? We know what Coleman Shelton's ceiling is, and we've seen it on display this year. When you really need a push, he's not going to get it for you. Coleman Shelton's competent. Coleman Shelton's a pro. Coleman Shelton knows the position. I don't dislike Coleman Shelton, but I like him as a utility guy, not as a starter. And that's my fear, the interior of the line when the Rams need that half inch, when it really matters. And so my feeling is Limmer fell in disfavor in the offseason, fell in disfavor the worst week. He must have an attitude issue or something because he's obviously been passed on the depth chart by everyone else. So whatever it was, it doesn't look too good for him going forward. So I can see him getting shown the door. But again, the clutter there. You got 5 receivers already. You're treating Terrence Ferguson like a wideout. He's getting more snaps in slot and wideout positions than he is in line as a tight end. And then that's 6. And then you're going to add Atwell. That's 7. My feeling is that McVay may not want to part with Atwell because he remembers what happened to that wide receiver room in Super Bowl 56, where it was just basically Cooper and the Miracles. So really something to keep an eye on there. Thank you, USA Expat. Great stuff, Joe. Thank you so much. Okay, Manny and Willie saying hi to each other. Everyone's saying hi to Peo. I'm so happy to be here. Willie Bowen, there we go. Now we got something, Willie. All right. Rams 42, Arizona 9. All right, I had 42-14, but I'll take yours. There we go. What else can we say? Oh, yeah, here we go. I got $5. I got $5 that when Atwell catches a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, that everyone's going to say, oh, he's always been my guy. All right, cool. As you guys know, I don't really care about MVP talk. I hope Stafford wins. I heard somebody say, Stafford wants to go to the Hall of Fame. And I was like, Stafford, and I want to be a millionaire. Of course Stafford wants to go to the Hall of Fame, right? You really think Stafford's thinking about the Hall of Fame when he's on the field? I don't think so, right? It's like Stafford wants to go to the Hall of Fame. It's like, it's just that kind of stuff that borderline pedantic, that talking down, that Captain Obvious type stuff. It's like, of course he wants to go to the Hall of Fame. So there's my struggle, and that's where I get accused of my elitism. So, all right, cool. We hit the 50-minute mark. All right, guys. Ken, Willie, Manny, Peo, all you guys, Bill, ESG, Steeler fan Rob, Michael Negretti, Ron Reese, Mr. El Monte guy, into the Santa Fe Trail. Have we met, Ron? Maybe we could meet sometime. But here we go. Got to go. Thank you for hanging out. We will be back on Monday. Sunday night. Depends on how I feel. We'll be back soon. God bless. Take care. And go Rams.